Cannot
I need
believe it.
like hair dye or something.
Well, this is not the
Oh,
time for you to be talking about
it's
that
not. So
because we have to do our thing and
I'm
we're live.
sorry.
We're
I'm so
live.
sorry. We're live. It's live. Hello.
Yes, I know. We're live. Hello, hello, hello,
Hola,
hello.
¿cómo está?
Okay, we have to open the things to record.
Open what things?
Our own thing.
Hey, I got a Vocaster 2 from Focusrite. Should I unbox it today?
I'm so jealous.
Oh, you are? You don't
It
have one?
is so. No, I don't.
Do
Did
you
you
want
win it?
one? No, he gave it to me.
I've been wanting one for so long. I'm
Oh, I'll
very
tell
pissed
him.
off that he
I'll
wouldn't.
tell him. I'll tell
That
him.
I've been wanting him. He should know because I've been jonesing for it
I mean, I'd
forever.
send you this one, but it's so heavy. I mean, I don't know how to set it up. I don't know how to do anything with it, but
It's the easiest thing ever. You could do an unboxing if you want. We can talk about it because it's probably one of the best machines out there that is like, it does all the things that anybody really could want.
Do you want me to save it until next
So
time?
nice.
Do you want to do it today? What should
Why
we
don't
do?
we ask our people? And also, we need to start recording the end. We need to start the show.
I'm ready when you're ready.
Okay, ready? And you have,
Yeah.
let's go. Okay, 3, 2, 1, press record. Thank you. Happy 400 to us. Yay.
Hello, hello.
Hello, 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 hello.
Let's see if Elsie and I, in our pre-meeting, have been trying to get all the way back to our very first Facebook conversation, and I bet you by the end of this conversation, I can do it.
If you can, yeah, it is. Anyway, but we should definitely start the show and we can start recording and talking and let's get to it. Let's get to it. Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh my God. Okay.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 400 of She Podcasts. I am your co-host, Jessica Kupferman, and with me, as always, the pink and perfect Elsie Escobar.
Pink and perfect.
You look pink and perfect today. Pink cheeks, pink eyes, pink lips. I love pink. It's so cute. You look very cute today.
Thank you.
I thought about today trying to grab all the different ways that I've introduced you, but it would take too long. It would take too long. Like if I could queue up 400 different, like.
You did not start doing this though from the beginning.
No, but what I'm saying is I thought about it.
Oh yes, this is true.
I only
this is
thought
the
about
kind
it.
of stuff. This is the kind of stuff where we can get like an AI to quickly do it, where you could just be like, "Hey, little robot, download all of the past episodes of She Podcast and clip out this." Cheryl,
Yeah, that would be amazing. Hi,
thank
Cheryl.
you,
How are you?
Thank you, Cheryl. You're so sweet. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you.
Yay. I'm just going to make a disclaimer right now. My stomach is probably going to be making crazy loud noises. Yes, I am hungry. Yes. But also there's other stuff happening because I have to go get a colonoscopy tomorrow. And today is my no eating day. So
you're recording during prep?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, I haven't taken the thing yet. I haven't taken the whatever's going to make me poop yet. I haven't taken that part, but I'm not supposed to eat today. I'm only supposed to drink stuff. So I'm just saying that my belly is actually might make the biggest noises you've ever heard. Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Oh, I closed it out. No.
Oh,
No. Please. Oh no, I think I got it back.
Okay.
Oh God, please do not let me have closed it out.
Okay. I know. Well, this is one of the reasons, Jess. It's like why I think that I was making sure because I do in the same way that I'm sure you do things. We get on the computer and there are some compulsive things that we do that we don't even think about. Like I empty out my trash all the time.
It started over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I want to die. This is terrible.
It's really terrible.
I've been trying. Okay, yeah. Now you've got me on a mission that I don't need to be on. Yeah, prep day is the worst. She's doing prep, colonoscopy prep. What is more terrible than that? I can't think of very much. Like just day-to-day
This is the
stuff,
first
not
this
like
is the
life
first
stuff.
time. Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. This is the first time that I've done it. I can't say it's a great day. I'm not okay with, like, I'm cool. Like, listen, I've done detoxes, I've done like liquid
Yeah,
diets in the past through my life. But the
you
thing
have.
is, those things are I've prepped my mind to it. I'm doing it for another reason. It's sort of like I'm doing a
Cleansing.
detox. I'm cleansing. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like a different vibe to it versus somebody telling me you can only drink today. And then for some reason that feels very not fun.
Constricting. Mhm.
Yes. Yeah, I've only but I've done this before. So I don't,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? That there's like this really weird thing with it. And also, when I do cleanses and things like that, it's even more strict. It's more like you like literally this is what you're cleansing yourself. This is what you are doing. And then with this thing
Yeah.
is you can have sodas, you can have coffee, you can have sugar, you can have jello, you can have like all these drinks that are super not okay in my life.
But it's trying to help you get rid of the
No,
things.
it's not trying to help you get rid of the thing. It's just speaking to the lowest common denominator of people.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Wait.
all.
So I did think of something worse than colonoscopy prep, and that is what's called a barium swallow. Have you ever done a barium swallow?
I don't even know what that is.
You have to drink, it's similar to the colonoscopy prep, only instead of what you're drinking, it's barium. It is a mineral mixed with water that tastes like fucking nickels, and you have to gulp it within a certain period of time before they can look in. Like, I think this is for infertility or checking on the baby if you are high risk, have diabetes, or over a certain weight or age, of which I checked every box. So I had to do the barium swallow. I cannot remember if it was pre or post pregnancy, but what I do remember is that I walked out of the waiting room twice because I could not do it without barfing. And so I left and then rescheduled it and came back and then left again. I had to be pregnant. Um, I left and then I came back again. And then finally Scott was like, "We're going. You're doing it." I'm like, "I don't think I can. No. I'm just gonna skip this. Whatever they need to know. I don't want to know it. I don't want to know it anymore. Like, don't make me do it." It was like, have you ever had like remember those little zinc echinacea
Yeah.
drops that you would put
Yeah.
to not get
Yeah.
sick?
Yeah.
It was like that, but liquid form. Ugh, I'm gagging just thinking about
Yeah.
it.
But
Disgusting.
yeah, but you do that. You are the gagger person. Like, I'm not the
I
gagger person.
know. But I mean the colonoscopy prep is uncomfortable. But yeah, that one I'd rather be uncomfortable in the way you're uncomfortable than gag and not be able to eat something.
This is true. This is true. I mean,
Like I
I
can
have to
busy
say,
myself in the bathroom. Like I can remain on board in there for a long period of time. But when you're barfing and gagging, it's not gonna happen for
this
me.
is not good. All I can tell you is that they gave me like a little stool softener thing. This is the way we open up the 400th episode, people. We are talking
I
about all kinds of ways
apologize.
to go poop. But anyway, but here's where I was surprised. They gave me the medicine,
Yeah.
right? And you're supposed to put a capful and put it in water and drink it. But I'm so surprised at the fact that you put it in water and it disappears. It looks like water. It looks like water. It doesn't taste like anything. You drink the thing and it tastes like nothing. So I was like,
Hmm.
this is interesting. It
Were you
literally
suspicious?
dissolved. Oh, see, look, Miss Jasmine says she did it because of IBS
Yeah.
issues. So then,
I
like,
used
she
to have
knows
that
what you
too.
went through. She got through it.
No,
And
no, she's talking about you, not me.
me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yasmin,
Well,
are you saying you did the barium swallow or are you saying you did the colonoscopy prep? Because I'm saying
no.
I don't know a lot of people that have had to do a barium swallow, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means I don't talk about it a lot. Also, it's probably
because it's probably not the best conversation to be having
I
on our
know.
400th episode. So anyway,
Let's go.
Let's
Yes,
go
take
to
the
a
time
happy
travel
place.
back. Yes.
To having, mind you, we have had, this is when I wish we had like all kinds of fantastic like production team stuff happening behind the scenes. Because after all of this stuff, we can say, but we have for sure in the past 400 episodes talked about poop. And then we pause right there, and then we have all the inserts of us talking about poop and poop adjacent conversations for 400 episodes.
I don't know that it's worth
No, I know. We're not going to be doing that for sure. But yeah, Miss Yasmin says both at different times. So this is good that it was at different times. So
yes, it was good. So yeah, she and I didn't really pull together anything for you. I did pull the clip of our very first like introduction and episode. Like I pulled
oh
like
my God.
2 minutes if you want to hear it. I don't know if I push play, like will it even play, or do I have to like share my screen and play?
You have to well, you can give it a go, but you need to have an audio ad in there. And I think that you can do it in
Where?
what do you call this place? Like there's a way for you to be able to do it for sure.
Like under brand, you mean? Oh yeah. You can add like background music.
Yeah. Try that. Maybe that will
I have to download it first. Hold on.
Okay.
It was in Megaphone.
I was gonna say something. I forgot. I had something really intriguing. Okay, so while you're doing that, should we continue on the conversation of like
we could
colonoscopies, or should we skip it?
Yeah, I mean, we can just start asking each other other types of things. Like, why don't we tell the story of how She Podcast came to be? By interviewing each other about it. What do you think about that?
Okay, sure.
All right, sweet. I think I found a way to add it though. Hold on.
Okay.
Only upload stuff that you are authorized to use. Well, gee, I hope no one comes after me for this. All right.
As long as it doesn't have weird song music, but I'm assuming maybe it's the same. I picked the music and we stuck by it.
It was about underpants. Here, I'll start it. And wait till you hear how terrible our audio is.
Oh my God, our audio.
I'll tell Fruit of the Loom to pound salt. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with never mentioning Fruit of the Loom ever again. I'm a Hanes girl forevermore.
That was the first moment of our podcast. And it's all been great from there.
Talking about underwear, very much on brand.
Hello, Miss Jessica.
Hello, Elsie.
How's it going, lady?
Good.
How was in the
doing?
kitchen?
I'm doing pretty fantastic. Thank you very much.
Good.
So we got this thing now, like that we podcast, you and I. We podcast.
Oh my God.
We bonded over it. So I say, oh my God. That is so horrible. So horrible. Ding, ding.
We're just introducing our show.
Should we start over? For the first time.
Ding, ding. No.
Okay.
We'll just keep going.
It is so bad.
That's what chicks do.
That's what chicks do.
Okay.
We call each other
What,
chicks.
ding, ding. So here we are. So we are now podcasting into this new show called
She Podcast.
She Podcast. Yeah.
Super excited.
I'm super excited, and
We don't sound excited.
Why are we starting this? I'm gonna throw the ball on your court.
Of course you are.
Right now.
Okay. Well, I thought it would be a good idea to start it because for similar reasons why I started like a course teaching women to podcast, because I feel like there's some barrier to entry for women who are podcasting.
We were really serious because we didn't know each other that well.
We didn't know each other that well. And also we had an idea that we were going to be like the place you can come to get like the information to podcast, which quickly
ran them
stopped.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good for a while. Like our first episodes are like
very on point.
First we do the She Podcast, but then, like the first couple, I think it was like 10 or 11. Like the second one is like why She Podcast, and then growth strategies. And then when the audience talks, how much do you listen? all about donations for non-douchey podcasts. As soon as douchey went into the title, I think we were starting to go awry. The lowdown on podcast interviews, super something. Does Ramit know what a podcast? Oh, Ramit Sethi. We got annoyed with him in episode 8. Interview dilemmas, data in podcasting, demystify. In fact, we don't go off track really until 17. It's the fat shaming negative feedback episode. And then the next one is our podcast networks like threesomes.
Yeah, that's
and
when
then
we
there's
started.
trolls, and then there's but up until then we were pretty professional.
We wanted to have, like, I remember we had like a theme, a thing that we're supposed to be covering in that episode
Yes,
where we
every
were going to,
time.
like, after you finished listening, you would like, oh, that was really helpful. Here are the points of that we learned. Thank you, She
Yeah.
Podcast, for clarifying how to do a network thing. So, oh my gosh, Miss Jasmine's asking us a question. Should we answer her
Oh
question?
yeah, go ahead. Sure.
So,
My co-host
okay, Miss Jasmine,
quit.
you say, my co-host abruptly quit. What do I recoup? She's a friend and is simply too busy. I get
How
it.
do I
Oh
recuperate?
God.
Lost my co-host.
I
and
know
she's
this
a
has
friend.
happened before. There's been a couple of other places that I've seen this, Miss Yasmin, and
Me too.
I've seen it move from like a co-hosted show to a solo show and then switched back into an interview show. So it went from co-hosted to solo to interview show and then brought people in. I've also seen another co-host another co-hosted show that started with a co-host and then just switched to the other co-host. And then they actually bring that first co-host back. So there's a rotation that happens because the person that they started, because of the too busy part of it, they literally rotate back in when they do have time, which I thought was kind of nice.
That's a technical answer. Let's go for the therapeutic answer.
Okay.
Because she says, how abruptly quit, which she's clearly irritated about. How do I recoup? She's a friend and is simply too busy, question mark. Like that question mark indicates to me WTF. So
like
here's what I'll say to you.
Like,
I'm analyzing it word for word.
Messages.
You know,
so Miss Yasmin, if that's not the case, that's all right. This is
I'm psychoanalyzing. Just
like,
give me a second here. I'm psychoanalyzing. Okay.
All right.
So the question is, like, how can you maintain your friendship? And like, here's what I would like to tell you to do, because because you're asking us, like, what is she? How to explain to the audience? Okay, that's different. But I just want to tell you this: if you do still have feelings about this that aren't expressed to your friend, there are ways of doing that so that you can get some closure in your mind. Just say, hey, I know you're busy. I don't mind if you quit, but like, I could have used a little notice. We could have explained it to the audience together. Maybe she would even be willing to like do a quick audio with you, like a pre-roll type of like, hey, this is Yasmin and whatever. And we just wanted to let you know that we're really sad, but I'm going to call her Rachel. Rachel has to, move to Europe and we can't do the show anymore because it's going to be too difficult. But Yasmin's still going to take the reins, and, like, you can do that on your own. It would be nice if your friend did this with you, because, like, just quitting and not record, like, I don't think Elsie and I could do that. Like, if anytime one of us isn't there, the other one explains, like, oh, Elsie's not here today because blah, 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 or we have a co-host. It's always, if we have a co-host, somebody else isn't there. And then the other thing you can do, speaking of that, is rotate your co-host. So like, we've never had a time other than when I was pregnant or having a baby where we didn't do the show together for a long period of time, but you could set up a slew of co-hosts, until you find one that you really click with, like almost like Regis and Kelly, how Kelly started to interview other Michael Shanahan's or whatever the hell his name is. Like, you could do it like that, and just explain to the audience that you're really sorry, but this person is unable to continue forward and you wish them all the best.
Yep. That's actually the best way to do it, because you just have to tell them. And if your co-host can't do it with you, you just set up that intro and you don't make it a big deal. You just kind of go like, hey folks, we have a little bit of a change, blah, 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 this and that. So and so is doing this, and now we're doing this. And that's all you really have to say.
Yeah. I mean,
And just let them in a little bit onto it. But I have actually seen a lot of this happen now that I start to think about. There was another place where one of the long ongoing co-hosts left, and then another co-host took over, and it was moving forward from there. It was there was not even a change of the baton. It was like the one co-host was there, and then the next time there was another co-host.
Amber Holly had
went
that happen. She had to show my business bestie, and then the bestie stopped being available, and she was like, well, now I can't do my business bestie by my fucking self. And I was like,
well,
so she changed, she changed it a little, but like I totally felt her pain. Like, what would you do if your co-host just like, and we're out, and you're like, but it's called double trouble or whatever. Like, well, like you can't just quit on double trouble. It's mean and terrible. But yeah, you can actually go back. I don't know the episodes, and I've never heard the one that you did when I had a baby. Because I think
those are
I was
all
scared for that.
13. It was like 13-ish, right around the 13 mark. But you can, there was
how did you know that?
Because I think Erica Liramark was there for one of them. Then we had there were
November 10th, 2014 is the first one after he was born. I don't know if I was on 23, but it was episode 20. Sorry to interrupt you. We've been doing that a lot lately. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that we went back. I think you came back at the beginning of the year. I believe that's when you came back. And so what we did, we kind of called in. I'm not sure we even did it weekly, or maybe there was like one of those things where we released Q&As, like that we released other things in the feed to kind of like get people still moving forward with what we were doing. And I did have some co-hosts come in. Esprit Devora was a co-host too, now that I remember.
Hi, Esprit.
There were some people. Yeah, we're still friends.
Yeah, I see one February 2nd of 2015 is called The Overwhelm Rant. I'm guessing that's when I came back.
Yeah, that's when you came back. Yeah, that is when you came back, because we talked all through that.
Messed up. Just so messed up. Just messed up. Oh, so Yasmin says, we're still friends 20 years. I'm pissed, but the show goes on. Thanks for the advice.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't want to be pissed, then just say, with all the diplomacy that you can muster. I mean, and always do a compliment. Anytime I've had to tell Elsie I was unhappy with something, I try to do a compliment sandwich, unless we're already like, I don't want to say at each other's throats, because that's not really it. But unless we're already go back and forth thing, I try to be like, listen, you and I are friends. We'll always be friends. I love you. But when were you going to tell me that the show's only a half hour now? Like, like that kind of thing. Like, but you have to start with something like, listen, we've been friends 20 years. I don't begrudge you your happiness, but also, could you have maybe said goodbye on the show and not left me with a hanging piece of fruit to pluck myself?
Right. Also, though, I have to also look at it from the other perspective too, which is the perspective that people this is what I've seen. And I'm talking at large, folks. I'm talking at large in the industry. Folks decide they want to start a podcast and that it's just going to be the easiest thing ever. And then when you realize what it actually takes to do it, to show up every week or however you have it set up, and the amount of work that it actually takes to get an episode out, it becomes quite an it's a lot. It's a lot of commitment. And I think one thing that I think from the get-go, Jess and I were able to manage, and why I think that we've made it to 400 is that we had how do you say it, mutually complementary work skills that helped us get the podcast out.
Work skills, work ethic, podcast knowledge, different personalities but similar work ethic. We have we're special,
because you used to do all the branding stuff, and then I used to do all of the like tech stuff. So I didn't want to do what you wanted to do, and you didn't want to do what I was doing. So then it was perfect, because I could just do those things and you could take care of the other things, and we were done. And it
you
was
ever been
sorry.
have you ever been bitter when I started outsourcing the things that I was supposed to be doing, like posting the show, or did it ever
It
make
took
you mad?
me no, that didn't make me mad. I think
Didn't?
that part of it is that no, that didn't make me mad. The thing is
Okay.
that you're always outsourcing all the things though. And I'm not listen, I don't begrudge you that. I just don't do that. So I don't understand. Like even now with my other show, I'm still really hands-on with the other show that I do. Like even though I have it outsourced the editing, I'm still really hands-on with the content and how it goes out, what it looks like. It's a thing. Like right? It's not like a haphazard thing.
You
Sorry.
know, when She Podcast started, I was becoming less and less passionate about web and graphic design, which was the thing that I had obsessed about for like the previous 5 years before I met you. So like 2006 to 2011. And when I started that online course with you, I was obsessed with teaching people design, web design, and having a big consulting firm or design agency. And then when I started She Podcast and had a baby, and I came back and realized that this group just needed more support than the other group. So because I was already like rounding out and getting sick of the other thing, I just started focusing on this thing. But I never like, I'm not necessarily born to do audio and radio. Like, I think I'm born to be hilarious, but I'm not like born, I'm born to be entertaining, maybe even educational or informative or all three, but I'm not meant to do like all the things that you do for both your shows, like listen to it, pick it apart, find a bad piece of audio, take it out. Like I don't care about any of that. I always just wanted to see what we could do with it, how we could make money with it. And so my mission was to try and throw as much spaghetti on the wall in the last 10 years as we could. I mean, some
You've
things
done
worked, some
all
things
the
didn't.
things.
We've done
Yeah.
a lot of things. It's been a lot of
And like
things.
I think if I were to I guess talk with us. Well, you know what? I don't think I mean, you can't. I mean, you can do a show the way that we did it, which was this haphazard sort of way to kind of cobble things together the whole time. But if like you were starting it now, if like we were starting it now and like pretend we had all the knowledge, we had um I would say the understanding that there was a need, right? So like, let's
Yeah.
pretend it's like that. We had all the knowledge. We really recognized the need that we were going to fulfill. So we had that. What I would say is what, like this sounded like if we were dating. It's like, what are your intentions with this? Because what happened is I was not ever nor wanted at any time to be an entrepreneur. Like that's not something
See?
that I ever wanted to wear. And
Mhm.
so, but you had already, you've
Already
you
was.
came from that. Yeah. Yeah. So you were coming from that. And then, so every time you started to craft like, oh, this is a business play, right? This is what we could sell this. We could do this. I kind of was like, okay, but it was more like, all right, I'll do that, but I never was 100% let's develop this thing, let's go with it. And so I
Right.
think it was you had to fight for a lot of the stuff, and not fight in the sense that I wouldn't say yes, but it was more like
I was
you were
dragging you along.
Yes, you were. That's how I was just going to say that. I was literally going to say, I was just pulling you back is what I was saying. I'm like,
I
I'm
was
the one that's like,
dragging you along.
yeah. And I was like, all right, this seems kind of neat. And so I like walked into the rooms and I was like, okay, I mean, it seems like this is cool. Okay. And then, but I never had that. The thing that you need as an entrepreneur is you need to have hands-on looking at stuff and developing things and developing the systems and like looking at numbers and figuring out if things are working and if not, that's not working, and marketing the stuff. And I just didn't want anything to do with any of it. Like I would,
Yeah.
but I was there and I thought I had a lot of insight. I did a lot of learning and education about business and all these
Mhm.
things. So I knew it from the knowledge part of execution, but my heart wasn't really in it. So if I were to tell you all what not to do or what to do when you start, is to be very clear as to the path that you want to take forward, because it'll help. It'll
We
help,
had totally different
you know.
businesses at the time. We didn't really have a path. We had no path that we wanted to take forward. In fact, it wasn't until Natalie Ekdahl came up to me at a show and was like, "Why are you not making money with She Podcast?" And I was like, "Well, Elsie does this and I do this and I make money this way and she makes money that way." And she was like, "Yeah, but it's thousands of people. You should have it. It should be a business. You should be making money." And since then, it has stuck in my head, and I have done everything possible to try and make it a business. And now that we're 400 episodes in and on and about to host our third live event, I feel that I've allowed She Podcasts and what I do for it to overshadow what I like to do, period. Because I always thought I would be a CEO or an advertising executive, and those things are fun. But I really underestimated my need to be funny and creative because I have an enormous list of jokes, stories, funny t-shirts, comic strip ideas, things that like I'm always like, well, I'll do it when I get a chance, when I get a chance, when I get a chance. And I've never had a chance really. So going forward after this event, I want to figure out how I can be both creative and keep this a business. Or we have projects that we're doing after this event that I can't announce yet, but I do think that'll be good. But yeah, I just have learned a lot about being in a business. Just because you have the opportunity to have a business doesn't mean that's the business you necessarily want. Just because you have 21,000 people in a community doesn't mean you have to make them take a course or make them go to an event or make them do anything. I believe very strongly in the work that we do and why we do it, putting on the event and offering information to people and allowing that space to exist for people to help each other. But I've never wanted to have a podcast business or company. Like I thought when I first heard podcasting, I thought it was ridiculous. And then and then I started doing it because, like I said, of my own need for power and glory, but in my own feel, but for my own business, not necessarily because I was so passionate about podcasting. And you too, like you just liked audio. Oh wait, did you already listen before you started your own show? Were you already listening, or did you just get a job at Libsyn
What
and
are you
then get
talking
into it?
about? I can't believe
You
you're
first
asking me this
started.
question. Do you not know my podcasting history?
I know that you turned on a recorder during a yoga class, and then you had a show, your yoga show, but I don't remember if you listened prior to that and then got a job for Libsyn knowing you were going to be in podcasting, or did you get a job first, then start your podcast, then get into it? Like, do you
No,
remember?
everything about podcasting is from the listener perspective. I listened to podcasts for 6 months straight. They became my way of interacting with the
So from the
world. It was
time
like
that you discovered them
I
until
just
what?
wanted, I was like blown away by podcasts. I was like, this is amazing. This is the best thing ever. I love it so much. This is my way to express myself. And then I started the
Oh,
yoga podcast because I wanted to learn how to do it. And I didn't want to creatively come up with something. I wanted to record something that I was already doing so I wouldn't add to my own stuff. And so I started to record the yoga thing. And because it was so bizarre for people to be like, you have a yoga class and it's audio only? That's weird. And because of the
revolutionary.
weirdness of it, everybody was like, oh, that's the girl. That's the yoga girl. She's got that yoga podcast. And when I started, I literally was the yoga girl that has the pod. Like I was
Yeah,
that one,
just the one.
just the one. And so there were a couple other dudes that were doing it, but I was the one girl. And so I started to do it because I loved it and because I was super passionate with it. I kind of like was obsessed with podcasts and I reached out to a lot of podcasters, and it's how I got to where I am because I was engaged in the community and ended up in a position that I didn't look for. I didn't look to be hired. I just fell into it.
Stumbled
So
into it. Okay. I don't know
yeah.
that I realized yeah, and then for me I just needed the advice, and then I included Elsie in that little group of advice, and then she started introducing and inviting other people that she knew, and that's how it became so big. But it sort of happened Well, I was looking a different direction, and I just sort of, imagine if like you're driving a car and then a horse with a bridle just kind of like trots by, and you're like, maybe it would be fun to ride a horse. So you park your car and you run after the horse, then you jump on, and then you ride it for like 10 years, and then you're like, I don't know, a car seems nice as well.
Well, that is not like that's not the
That's how I
proper
feel
metaphor.
right now. I
I
know
think
it's a
it's
terrible
like
metaphor, but
being
you know
on
what I mean?
Tinder.
It's like,
No, it's like dating. It's
maybe.
like being on Tinder. No, seriously, it's like swipe, swipe. Oh, this one.
Yeah, that could work.
And then you
yeah.
kind of date them and you're like, oh, swipe, swipe, this one. And then
Yeah.
you like it's like having a like you just
You
keep
act
on
like you've
dating all
used
the
Tinder
people.
before. Have you ever used Tinder before?
I've never used Tinder. In fact, I don't even know what it looks like. All I know is that it's swipe, swipe. You swipe is all I know.
Left, I think. I mean, not that I have, but it's right if you like them and left if you don't, I think. But yeah, you're right.
Oh.
It's exactly like that. You have one thing and then you're like, well, I'll try another thing. And then halfway there, you're like, well, I'm in it now. Let's just keep seeing how it goes. And then, I mean, I think what I'm trying to say is that I'm probably going to wrap up event planning just for a little while after this one, because I kind of miss not thinking about an event. Does that make sense at all? Like I kind of miss like just observing my life and giving people advice. So I remember that emotional processing coach, like Sarah, and she wakes up, she works out, she talks to clients, she wanders around her town observing things, she talks to some more clients. Like, what a freeing life. And for me, like the last 4 years have been about, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And that's because of the pandemic, not because of the event per se. It's more because of the pandemic and all the like repercussions that came along with that. But I just don't want to think, what the hell am I going to do like for a little while and then come back to it, And the same with She Podcast, because like same thing. Like, what are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with it? I mean, I know what I'd like to do with it, but I don't always, what am I even saying at this point?
I don't know. I just know that you have to figure out what you want to do and like what's the life that you want to live is how I'm thinking about it.
I love our community. I think I just have been missing a little creative outlet. That's all.
But and I think that there has to be there's a lot of times when we like, I just saw Danielle Corbett just posted something on Twitter, and I was really interesting because she like, I'll show you. Well, let me see if I can find what she actually.
Yesterday?
No, it wasn't yesterday.
Like, I think within Libsyn, you have the ability to be creative and create education and content that you're really excited about. And I had lost that capability when I started doing events because I really had to promote that one thing. And then I did another thing like the membership, and I really had to promote that one thing. And I couldn't just be like, here's my advice, tell everyone to pound salt. Like I can't be funny and charismatic and also have a marketing strategy that will work. Or maybe I can and I just haven't. I don't know. Let's change the subject. This is ridiculous. In fact, just
oh my
this
gosh,
whole
no,
part
but this is what she wrote. So this is what she posted this morning. Okay. It is so interesting to see so many OG creators shutting down some of their big established brands. And I look back at that and I was like, well, everything has a season. Like, I don't know why. Like, it's just, there's so much changes that we've done. I mean, if we think about, we started this in 2014. 2014. Almost 10 years, dude. Like next year will be 10 years of doing one thing.
I know. The only thing I've done longer is my husband. That doesn't sound right. The only thing I've had in my life longer is my husband.
Right. And that's what it is. And for us to be consistently coming in here and doing this thing, right? So and there's a lot of growth. So even when we started, yes, I had just become a mama. I had 2 babies. And it was just beginning. It was like I didn't have a place to live when we started. Actually, we were like literally in transition. We moved so many different times. The kids were super young. Like there's there was so much happening in at least my life of what it was. And now 10 years later, I can tell you that I'm a different woman. I'm literally going to be, knock on wood, in full on menopause, like at the end of this month.
Knock wood, she said.
Yes,
Thank you,
because
everyone.
I am so excited. No, because I only have 2 weeks to go. And if by May 29th, if I have not
Your
gotten my
menopause?
cycle, yeah, I'll be in menopause on May 29th if I do not
What?
get my cycle within now and then. I'm going to be so excited. So I'm like, this is monumental to me. I feel completely different than I did in 2014. I'm a different human, and therefore I have different needs. I want to talk about different things. Like not talk about different things. I don't know what to say. Like my days are different. My
Yeah, me
desire for my life is
too.
different.
Me too.
So
10 years ago, my husband was getting up at 6 and going to a job and coming home and cooking dinner with me. And yeah, we're like he was 42, now he's 52. That's a big difference.
there's difference. There's a huge difference in 10 years in the 40s and the 50s. I mean, I am 51.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Chris. I
And
love all the love that I
yeah,
have.
thank you guys so much for wishing us happy
And all the
400.
love
We're very
there.
happy we're just kind of
Um,
reflecting. I mean, and I don't want to reflect and not talk about the obvious. But someday someone will listen to 400 hours maybe of this show and hear us age and hear us change and hear me start to worry about my child and then start to talk about her going to rehab and then her passing away and then you're poor. That's the only time I've ever gone back and listened to a show or a message that you did without me. And it took me years, actually. It was only recently that I did that because I forgot about it for a little while. And then I was like, oh my God, she had to tell the whole world that my kid died without me. That must have been fucking terrible. And then I felt like I had to listen just out of respect for you because you had to say that to me. And I was like, it's not fair for me not to have heard that, what she
we
did there.
have,
It
we
was so
had
sweet.
to, yeah. I mean, it's like that was, yeah. That I mean, and it's chronicled. So
Mhm.
you hear a huge, I think, life living things. We've had some really, I think, poignant
Yeah.
episodes that we've covered. I think that's one of the key things about our show that's different than a lot of other people's shows
Yeah.
because we don't like, there's a lot of people who have done 400 shows and then they all are, I can't
Similar,
say very
right?
surface. I
Oh,
can't say they're surface. It's not that. It's just that they are very much about here's the 5 tips of doing the thing. We're going to have a really in-depth conversation about
yeah.
monetizing your podcast today, or like
How
here's
deep
the
can you get? Like, I'm
yeah,
afraid of money.
right.
Um,
And so we've had a lot of very significant life changes, and we've chosen to speak about them
on air.
on air. And we've also divulged the challenge of motherhood and
I was just gonna say,
changes. And yeah,
first time I remember doing that, it was you and breastfeeding, I think. You were just fucking tired of
yeah.
breastfeeding, and she just was, like, not willing to give it up, and it had, and
Sleep, remember sleep? Yeah, it was depriving me of
yeah,
sleep.
it was depriving you of sleep, and she was just like you were, like, on de milk on demand, and, um, we learned together that the downfall of breastfeeding for a long period of time is that they have very strong opinions about what they get and when they get it. Like if you'd have stopped at say 1.5, maybe it would have been smooth. But people, breastfeed for a long time because it's, better for them. There's lots of reasons. It's cheaper, it's more convenient, whatever. But yeah, I guess at whatever age she was just like, no. You were like, shit.
Yeah.
There was, oh, did you see my shirt I wore for you today?
Oh my God, look at that.
It says I blame Mercury in retrograde. Yeah. But there's that. There's like what else? I mean,
Yeah, we've done that. We've had,
what else?
when
I
was
mean,
it? Remember when we cry? Like when I cried, there was like a crying one. There was one that was really like,
I think it was because of me.
but I don't remember like John, like remember John was still on the show. Like this was a
Yeah.
show that he was he
Yeah.
kind of
It
like
wasn't
stepped
teasing me
back.
like
It
that
was
made me
like, well, I'm
sad.
listening. He was like, I'm going to just be quiet now. And I think I can't remember what that show was about, but it was like really emotional.
I can't
And
either.
I can't remember
You
what
were
the heck we were
either
talking about.
angry with me or trying to encourage me to do something, and I feel like it had to do with my self-worth or self-esteem, and you were kind of like getting all worked up about me. Am I wrong? Does it
I
sound
don't
familiar at
remember.
all?
I can't
Um,
remember. We've had so much happen on
I
the show.
know.
But all that to say, though, the fact that there's huge growth. And the only way that you can see that is like if you see our kids right now, like literally have the day one of when we were recording versus now, what these like you can see this
I know.
human that has grown up, and we have discussed them throughout this time. And
Mhm.
I mean, there's just been
I've
so
moved my
much,
office 3 times. Remember, I moved
right?
it into Emily's bedroom. Then I moved it out of Emily's bedroom. My mother-in-law moved in. Then there's all those kinds of stories about living with her. There's ending breastfeeding. My cat used to cry all through the show, and
In
then
the
she died.
background, that's right. She
Yeah,
kept on yowling.
couldn't lock my door. So there are occasions when Isaac would just run his little baby ass over to my office and pound his way in, scare the shit out of
Yeah.
me. That's all on there. Um, yeah, so many things. Cutting my hair, dyeing it blue,
Oh my
going to
God. And like our first times recording in real life. Like I remember our first live recording between live as in Jess
yeah,
and I recording in
in the
real
same
life
room.
together, not
Mhm.
in front
Not
of an
live like
audience. But
this,
like,
right.
so we decided to go, oh my God. We can put links to all of these things because the link of us recording over at was it New Media Expo, we were at a bar and we were drinking,
Yes, it
and we
was.
had to like have the like
In
we
Vegas.
random thing. That's right, because it was like, let's just get a drink because we've never done that. It was all so fun. We're like, let's just get a drink. Should we have a drink? Let's have a drink. How do we set this up? Let's put the thing on. And it was just so goofy. We were so goofy. We didn't even know
I
what the
know.
hell we were doing.
It's nice because you can also hear our friendship develop, like what we played at the beginning, where you're like, "All right, so we're starting a podcast, and let's talk about why." And like I'm all professional talking about it, and then like probably a couple. I mean, it couldn't have been that long away where you had told me that you were invited to do a really big panel, but you couldn't because you had to run home to your kids, and I challenged you about whether or not you felt
That's
deserving of
right.
it. And that was probably
Yeah.
the
And I was
first time
like,
we
dude,
had
you
an
don't even get that's when that
I
was,
know.
yeah. I was just like, you don't even get it. You don't get it. I'm still not backing down. I'd do that again in a
No,
heartbeat.
I was wrong. You
Yeah.
explained it and I was wrong about you, but I wanted to challenge you anyway because normally when women like say no to big opportunities, it's because they don't feel ready or they're not, mentally prepared or they don't think they deserve it. And I should have known better than to think you don't deserve it, that you think you don't deserve it because I didn't know you well enough to know how high you are on yourself. But it certainly wasn't that. It was really more about something we had never talked about, which is like our home life priorities. That's the
Mhm.
first time I learned how different you and I were. Like the one way I just thought we're so much the same. She's just a big hippie in the mountains. But that's not true. I learned that day it's a very calculated decision about how to live despite it being inconvenient on purpose. Because in my head, I was just like, why is everything you do so fucking difficult? Right? Like, why do we have to go to run to Whole Foods every time you travel? Why does it take an hour down a mountain in a van that walks on 2 legs like Fred Flintstone? Why? Why? And I mean, now that I think about it, I feel bad. You probably felt very much like you had to defend your whole life and your lifestyle to me, which you certainly didn't have to do. You probably could have just told me because that's the way I like it, bitch. Enough. But
That's the way I like it, bitch.
almost like you were explaining it to me and our listeners. Like, here, I want you to
True.
know me. I want you to know why. Like, I had a feeling no one's questioned you about it before, certainly not publicly. And so
No.
there's a lot of episodes at the beginning where I'm like, why is it so hard for you? Why can't you just do this or that? And you very kindly and patiently explain it. And you certainly didn't have to do that. So that must speak to maybe it just speaks to how, I mean, you can hear that too. Probably she wanted me to understand about her. She wanted me to understand why her life was the way it was. It's important, I think, when you have principles that someone you're close to can at least accept that. And it was more like, yeah, I guess the question was really like, how am I supposed to accept this about you? And you would answer, because this is how I want it on purpose and I'm not dumb. Right. And then I would accept it. And then something else would come up and I'd be like, why? And you would tell me again. And then finally, with your mother, I was like, we have so much in common. Why is she?
Well, I mean, I think that's another way of getting to know each other too. And there's, and mind you, we live far away from each other, and we probably would not have frequented the same spots. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think
No,
we would have
course
bumped
not.
into each other randomly at the
Never.
public library
Hell
or
no,
on
I
a
hate the
bus.
library. No, we would never, ever. If I lived in Pittsburgh, I would never know you. I'd have to trip
Yeah.
over your, you know,
I don't even
your
know where we would have met. If
yellow
I lived near
accent.
your area, I probably wouldn't be hanging. Yeah, I
I
wouldn't. I don't
where
even
you
know
live.
where we would
Where would
be
you
if
here
I was like,
in Delaware? But yeah, like it was,
yeah.
there's something else I was gonna say. I forgot. Yeah, we would never be in the same circles, but I'm glad that we are and did. Oh, I remember. This is one thing I wanted to share with you.
Okay.
This is the first time I remember Elsie saying she was having a party. Now, it was a couple years into our relationship because I had already thrown 2 Pinterest
That's
birthday
right.
parties for my little boy. One was like our little pumpkin turns 1, and I had like a pumpkin carved out and barfing guacamole on the chair. And then the second one was Choo Choo, he's 2, and I had gotten like labels to print and tape around water bottle. Like I did a whole. It's the only 2 times I've ever been crafty and creative. And then shortly after that, Elsie's like, we're having a party. And I was like, oh, here, how can I help? What do you need? And then the day of the party, she's like, I gave him money and he came back with a tent and one chair. Like, imagine, like, I didn't even know how to help. Like, I was like, what? Who gets the chair? Who's that for? She's like, well, other people will bring their own. And I was like, no, they won't. Go get the chair.
They did, by the way.
I was
They
like, go
did.
back to Best Buy and get.
It wasn't even Best Buy. It was actually the supermarket that's down the street, and that's it was like that. And everybody brought their chair, and everybody was like sitting all over. Like there was no, yeah, it was you. Yes,
I'm sure it was delightful, but the idea of people showing up at a birthday party and having one chair and no food, I was like,
they all brought their own food and they all brought their own chair. Can you imagine? Jess, imagine that.
The first, but not the last time that I wanted to drive down there and make sure they did it right.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't allow this to happen in the world. Even like, what do you mean one chair? Like I'm sweating thinking about it now. One chair. Oh my God. Anyway, all right. So
we are gonna have to start to bring down this episode.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, it's been so. I mean, yeah,
there's been
there's been all the times that we talked together, our first workshops, every time we've ever recorded together in person, it's mostly laughing. We have it's actually probably better we don't live close to each other because our podcast would just be a bunch of stupid laughter.
We would not, it would be even crazier. Yes. But if you have any memories of us, send them over. Why not? feedback@shepodcast.com. We're here to hear what you thought or like what you've learned, or even if it's just to like give us a high five. Thank you to everybody who's here and hung out with us on our 400th episode. And I mean, it's a pretty admirable that we've been, for the most part, we've shown up almost every week.
Except January, every week.
Yeah, I mean, no, but even if we skip like I don't know, maybe like a stunt of like 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, even if that's the case, consistently for 400 times.
I know, 400 times. It is a huge. It does feel like a huge accomplishment.
And 400. That's like
a little old, but yeah.
4,000.
No. 100.
400 hours. 400 hours.
Just feels like 4,000 hours, but
it does feel like 4,000. You're right. It does feel
It's
like
because we've
4,000
had
hours.
4,000 hours of texting and talking. Just
This
because
is true.
400 of it is recorded doesn't mean we haven't spent 4,000 hours figuring shit out together, which I think is
This
also
is
an
true.
enormous accomplishment.
Yes,
So
we
thank
have.
you.
That's
Thank
right.
you for 400 episodes and
Oh,
for
thank
changing
you
my
for
life with this
400.
show.
Oh my God. So
Yeah,
many
you.
firsts. One day people will go back to our archives and remember the shows. I mean, we
Laugh
wanted
and
to do the
cry.
show. Remember our shows that we had ideas to create, that sitcom? We
Yes.
had so
I
many
still
things
think
to
that would be
do.
hilarious. It would have developed by now, certainly, because
Yeah.
now you have
Oh,
teenagers and I have a sassy little 8-year-old.
oh my
But
God. Oh
still,
my
it
God.
would still be, I still stand by that sitcom.
Oh
It'll be
my
really good.
God. One day. One day. But anywho, let's go
Oh,
ahead
thank
and
you
wrap
guys
it
so
up,
much.
dude.
Yep.
Thank
Let's wrap it up.
you.
Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for listening. If you want to find us on social, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, and YouTube. Did I miss any? All at She Podcast. You can also go to shepodcast.com, find anything you want to know. Our show notes, our links, our everything. Plus, you can buy tickets to She Podcast Live, which is happening June 19th. Oh my God, it's in 5 weeks. If you've not got your tickets by now, what the hexicles? Go get them now. It's in Washington, D.C. We need you there. We want you there. It's going to be super fun. What else? I think that's it. So we are so grateful to be wrapping up our 400th episode. Thank you so much. And we love you.
Mean it.
Bye.
Bye.
Signing off because she is a hard out. But thank you so much. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you so much, everybody.